So let me take a run at where we went last week and then finish off with tonight's material. Japa. The spiritual practice of repeating a sacred word or a phrase referring to the divine. We've covered this. It can be a word, a verse, a short prayer, a phrase, or a mystic syllable. The purpose of the repetition is to bring the mind to a state of devotion and concentration. And I hope when you chant, every time you come to a place of devotion and concentration. And with a little practice, you do get there. And the idea is not to just do a task. The idea, if you're initiated on mantram, or if you know one of the general mantrams we have around here, is to get to a state of devotion and concentration. The practice of japa is as old as religion and the spiritual path itself. I'm quoting Swami Adishwarananda from his book Meditation and Its Practices, which says pretty solid things about japa. Japa purifies and transforms, and I'm throwing in all kinds of my stuff too. I'm just quoting him from time to time here. And so we're just getting a background here. When a seeker repeats a sacred word with faith and fervor, do you chant with faith and fervor? It releases the power of holiness, which fills your mind with devotion and leads the mind to concentration, absorption, and illumination. And we emphasized this last week, just those wonderful states. Devotion, concentration, absorption, and illumination. That's what it's about when you're chanting God's name. Then we quoted a number of great people on what japa is. A spiritual man attains his or her goal through japa alone, whatever else he or she may or may not perform. That was said by Manu. That which does away with the sins committed in one's whole lifetime is japa. Japa is said to be the foremost of all dharmas. That's from the Mahabharata. By the repetition of the mantra comes the realization of the chosen deity. Patanjali said that. Once you take the name, all your sins vanish. You repeat it a second time, and the Lord is yours. That's Chaitanya. I drink no ordinary wine, but the wine of everlasting bliss. As I repeat my mother Kali's name, that was Sri Ramakrishna. There is a great power in the seed of God's name. It destroys ignorance. A seed is tender and the sprout soft, still it pierces the hard ground. Sri Ramakrishna. The mantra purifies the body. A man becomes pure by repeating the mantra of God. Sharada Devi said that. As wind removes a cloud, so does the name of God disperse the cloud of worldliness. Sri Ma. By japa and other spiritual practices, the power of the sense organs is subdued. That's Sri Ma. The easiest and best way of solving the problems of life is to take the name of God in silence. Sri Ma. Japa is repeating the holy name. Through this, the devotee rises to the infinite. Swami Vivekananda said that. If you chant his name, all of your bonds will be broken. You will become fearless. You will find immortality. Swami Brahmananda. Methods of japa, we went into this last week. We got halfway through. In the first one, Vachika Japa, the seeker repeats the sacred word audibly. And we practiced Asato Masat Gamayo, or Om. Say it audibly. It helps your physical life more. It helps your body, it helps your nerves when you chant out loud. But it will try to become more subtle. Then comes Upamsu Japa, repeating the sacred word semi-audibly by moving only the tongue and the lips. Then repeating it just mentally, without allowing the tongue and lips to move. This is good, but not for those who lack the necessary concentration. So if you lose concentration, go back to the first two methods, out loud and whisper. Likita Japa, it's very wonderful. Just sit and write the word Om, or Om Buddha, Om Krishna, Om Christ. Likita Japa, writing the sacred word continuously for a fixed number of times, for a fixed number of pages. It's very good for the nervous system. If life is getting you down and you're fatiguing, you're hurting, or you're in chaos, writing the name is a great counterbalance for that. Just gives you back connection with your soul and with the power that runs the universe. And you can even just write with your finger in your palm. And that can take you deep. But it's okay. Get a blank book, write the name, very healthful, spiritually healthful, and good for the nerves. Akhanda Japa. This is another way. Marathon chanting. For example, you decide to chant from sunrise to sunset on your day off. That's really fun. Start at sunrise, chant all day. It'll do wonders for you. One of my devotees and friends in Sacramento, he was doing a rounding. He took TM, Transcendental Meditation, and they went places where they would do rounding, where they would just chant all day. I don't know why they called it rounding, but he called it rounding. Marathon chanting, from sunrise to sunset, or from sunset through the night to sunrise. Or Muktananda loved 24-hour chanting. Now this chanting is usually done alone in solitude, but you can rhythmically do it with a group. It can be done congregationally, as Muktananda loved to do his 24-hour group chanting. And people got pretty high. And if we have time tonight, maybe we could do some He Nata Narayana. That was his chant that his people chanted all the time, just hours and hours of it. Then there's another one, so we won't do that one right now. Ajapa Japa is, you usually start by just chanting with every breath. And then you ignore the breath and you just find the chant keeps going. And your chant just goes on and on and on and on and on. You just kind of, whenever it slows down or you forget it, you just chant it a lot and get it going again, and then it just goes on night and day. It just goes on all the time. Now this is not good if you are in a busy position where you have to put your mind fully in various other places, like you're working with power equipment or you have to negotiate world peace or something like that. It depends on your life situation. Like I think a janitor is a perfect job. You can be alone, usually. You can work all night. You can chant God's name all night. I'm not saying you should be a janitor. I'm saying that I've often envied janitors because you can just chant God's name. You're just cleaning the whole place and you can just keep chanting God's name all the time. It's a wonderful job. Maybe there are some other jobs you know of where you don't have to take full concentration and put it somewhere else. I mean, like being a medical doctor or a surgeon. I don't want you just half here and half out of there. I want you, if it's my body or anybody's body I know about, we want you doing some other kind of sadhana. But if you can do a repetitive task and make a living at it and chant God's name, what a deal. That'll be fantastic. What happens, the reason I am thinking 5 minutes won't do, for example, is just a sample. You got to get into it. And you'll find if you really get into it, it just goes on and on of its own, don't you? It just goes on and on of its own. You let it. And what often happens, it's at first tied to the breath, and later on, you're not thinking of the breath at all. It's just going round and round and round, no matter what the breath is doing. That's a beautiful way to live. Okay. Those two, the congregational one and this Ajapa Japa, are additions to what we talked about last week. But let's talk about what is success in Japa. So success in Japa, success in chanting God's name, a mantra. If you have success, you grow in devotion. You just feel love for God, humble love for God. Devotion, love, peace, and joy become a state for you. In other words, success in Japa, you get into a spiritual mood, such as peace, or devotion, or joy. Joy is just a movement of the energy in your heart usually, but it can be in your brain, which just makes you just feel so happy. You want to laugh, but you try not to. But you may not succeed. You may be laughing. joyously. So success in japa. Japa helps you have a spiritual mood, a beautiful state of consciousness that you get to live in. So it's important to chant so you get into devotion and concentration and love, peace, and joy. When you're chanting, try to clear the decks so that this happens every time you chant. Not just getting in half an hour or a few hundred or something. You're just getting to what the mantra's trying to do. Give you a spiritual mood. Put you in a state of devotion. Love is when you're feeling great love for God, say. Devotion is humility in addition to that love. Devotion has a humility aspect where you just feel so grateful and perhaps a little awe, sense of great honor relating to God. Also, sign of success in japa, you chant till you're aware of the presence of Spirit. Spirit within you, Spirit around you, this wonderful, holy cloud. Next, a sense of connection. You chant, and you sense you're connected with Spirit. And perhaps this awareness, the spiritual awareness of Spirit being there, this essence is everywhere and you're aware of it. Perhaps it lasts for days. And the goal is for it to never go away. You feel your connection with Spirit all your days, all your moments. You go to sleep in it, you wake up in it. This is where chanting can take you and will take you. Chanting leads to Kundalini activity, stimulates spiritual awakening in the spine. Okay, so I've said the main ones in this category. Do you have any questions or comments? The idea is you sit down to chant. You've got restlessness to deal with. You've got the blow you had, the problem you had yesterday to deal with. You've got your fears about the future. You chant, and you end up with devotion or love, peace, and joy dominating, a spiritual mood dominating. You're aware of the presence of Spirit, loving you and comforting you. You sense your connection with Spirit, and it goes on and on and on. Those are signs of success in japa. Any question or comment on this? Yes?
You mentioned a little bit earlier about how something about it's not good to be chanting when your mind's wandering.
It's very good to chant when your mind's wandering. It brings your mind back. It's very good to chant when your mind is wandering. It helps you get your mind back. Okay. Yes, Bhavani.
Without knowing what it is, I've done mental chanting, particularly in situations where I'm surrounded by, my colleagues.
Surrounded by colleagues.
Yeah. So what happens is I get disconnected.
You get disconnected.
And which is very good for me, but sometimes I don't know what they're saying, where I feel I'm disengaged.
Right.
Disengaged.
To disengage.
At the same time, it's very good to do it because I do want to be disconnected.
Okay, well, you're getting what you want. The thing is, it's important to be relevant to even your colleagues. You can escape briefly to this heavenly place. Then you have to take this heavenly place back to the colleague's den. So you disengage, you go to this heavenly vibration, you get that strong, and you come back. And you have a conversation, and they'll feel you're really relating to them well. Because it can go in, but it can also come out of you. So the goal is to descend or express Spirit in the situation you're in. So it helps to connect with Spirit, but then bring it out into the room. That's the practice that's hard to do, but because we want to go in there and just enjoy the vibes. It's important to take those good vibes out there and feel them, say them, express. And you'll find you'll get really good at it, and you'll be very relevant when you relate to others. Okay, Kundalini activity. Very often, chanting, you'll begin to have Kundalini activity. The activities are very often pleasant or even delightful energy moving usually in the chakras, one or the other. Could be one chakra or a few chakras. You feel it in the deep spine often as ecstasy. At first it might seem like bliss ants. Then there might be a hopping motion up the spine. Then there might be a twisting motion. You feel like the energy's twisting. Sometimes it feels like just a few leaps, like a deer leaping. Sometimes it's like an arrow in flight. Those are Kundalini activities. Those are the main Kundalini activities. Your mantra is made to help you have Kundalini activity. The only thing to be concerned about or warned about is if it has a burning, unpleasant feel, your nerves are not ready for that much energy to rise up your spine. So you have to back off, do savasana, try again the next day. And if it doesn't improve, because it should feel wonderful, just wonderful. But if it feels unpleasantly burning, that's a sign the nerves are not ready to handle the energy. So you got to think of the energy coming down, lie in savasana, don't do any more that day. Take good care of your nerves and allow your nerves to get used to the energy. And then it should be ecstasy. You get so Kundalini movement up your spine is ecstasy. Yes?
And if the Kundalini is going up the spine and it goes quickly, and then it kind of just disappears, but it doesn't go here, it might disappear here, is that?
That's okay. The way is being made. There's a way being cleared for the energy to go all the way up. And it should come forward, and then it should go up to the crown. It should fill your brain and then go up. If it just comes up the back, it's not as high an awareness you get. You just kind of get blissed out. If it comes forward and then up, you're more conscious of beautiful things that are happening. Mira?
So, Guruji, if you're doing things like housework or gardening and you're not using a knife or something like that, is it okay while you're chanting to allow the Kundalini to move? Or should it just be maybe heart-centered and leave it?
Well, the answer is depends on you. It's just fine if, are you prepared to go into a kind of a swoon? You're prepared to sit under a tree and just feel sublime?
Well, if I'm actually physically doing some housework or physically doing gardening, I don't know if I want to suddenly swoon.
Right. So, it's like people have to learn how to drink. When I was a kid in college, I had a key to the church, and I would often go in there and meditate and hammer away at the piano or pray, or just, it was so nice to have a church you have a key to go in. Okay, but the thing is, then people who are seeking come in, and they want to talk to somebody. So you end up being the person that's there, and they want to talk. And so this young man comes in, and he tells me, of course, the purpose for going to college is to learn how to drink, which was new to me. And he was a member of a fraternity where they told him that's what purpose was, to learn how to drink. And you got to learn how to drink a lot and stay rational and functional, was what he was taught. And he was having all kinds of trouble in his life as he was trying to do the collegiate thing and learn how to drink. But I must say, I want to give you the same advice. Learn how to drink. You have to learn how to work with the energies that move within your being. Let's say you're chanting away, you're working in the yard. What probably will happen first is you just will have the energy interiorized. You'll want to sit under a tree and just feel the presence of God, maybe see the Spirit everywhere. So that may well happen a few times, or maybe 10 dozen times, I don't know. The energy goes up and you have this marvelous state of presence of God. So that's kind of what life's for, in a way, depending on people's interpretation. So then you'll get, so you can go there at will, but you can also keep hoeing. It gets so you can keep working and just feel just sublime, because the spiritual energy not only went up, but it's coming down through you. You got to learn how to do your drinking of the ecstatic wine, such that at first, yes, you will probably just sit down and go high and surrender to it. And then you'll come back to awareness and you can get busy and do things here. But it takes a training for you to go up and come down, letting the energy. You see, what happens is we kind of, in our mind and heart, we want to go there because that's where the heavenly is. And then you begin to realize, I want heavenly to be here in my backyard. And I want it to be heavenly when I'm working in my backyard. So you let the energy come down through you, through your, especially think of your fingertips and your toes. Comes down all the way through your arms to your fingertips, all the way down your legs to your toes. And then you move about ecstatically working in your garden. But the swoon is when you kind of forget the garden, you forget your body, you're just in a heavenly place. It takes practice to work with this high state. And it takes frequent practice. That's why it's nice to have a tree and a place you can sit and enjoy the company of the Lord. Have I answered your question?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Well, what I really like to do is sense that this is holy. This is holy. This is holy. That pole's holy. People here are holy. I like to feel the energy coming down through my being and think, holy, holy, holy. And I do it not thinking about going up. I think about coming down, realizing the holiness of everybody and what's going on here. So I just like to chant holy, holy, holy. And if that doesn't work so well, you could chant whole in body, mind, and spirit. You could just chant the word W-H-O-L-E, whole in body, mind, and spirit. Or whole in spirit, mind, and body. That'd be good for coming down. Whole in spirit, mind, and body. In a swoon, you just have such love for God that your energy goes up. It doesn't stay down thoroughly in the body, it just goes up. One swoons because one is a neophyte on the spiritual path, because the nerves and the mind aren't used to spiritual environs. So you go into many a swoon and come back down thoroughly. Then you do your belome practice after a swoon. Thoroughly do your belome practice. But every swoon you have makes you a higher, more attuned person. So it's good to swoon. And making the nerves ready for greater spiritual awareness, greater spiritual activity. Swooning's good. Don't swoon before you're supposed to drive a car or answer the phone or do your taxes, you know. If you have a swoon, it would be called a baba. A swoon is kind of a description of how you get into a baba. But a swoon and a baba would be equivalent. Yes?
So when people get a blessing and they sort of seem to faint or something, it's really a swoon.
Yes. I would give you just carte blanche. I'd say swoon away, swoon, swoon, swoon. Just swoon away, swoon away. But our history at the Yoga Center is we had two particular swooners who then came out and said, well, he's a nice guy, but you can follow me now. So that's the problem. You have a swoon, you think you're enlightened, rather than you just dip your toe in the water of spirit. But we've had some swooners who say, yeah, I'm the Divine Mother now. Yep. He's fulfilled his purpose, that guy in the yellow shirt. And now I'm where it's at. So I don't know what you can do about that. One lady present here did it right. She'd be taking dictation, she'd just swoon. We'd carry her off to her room, and she would just have a pleasant time. She didn't think everybody should follow her at that point, as far as I know. Anyway, that's a joke. And if you get so you're swooning a lot, be sure you're good at beloming a lot, coming down afterward thoroughly to the bliss-chi, to the buddhi, to the mind, to the emotions, to the prana, to the senses, to the body, to the earth, thoroughly. And then walk about and do something physical, be thoroughly back. If you're going to go high, you must thoroughly come back. You must learn to do that. Okay, next. My goodness, every time you chant a mantra well, it goes into sahaj. Sahaj is an awareness of the mantra going on within you, and blessings of it going on, or the light of it going on, or the joy of it, or the devotion of it. You chant a mantra properly, or fully, that's a better word than proper, fully. You go into being aware of it in an ongoing way that's usually hours. I mean, you succeeded in going to a place that is more truly your home than this world, and awareness of it resonates within your being. So, talk about sahaj. Sahaj, natural samadhi, natural attunement. You get so you can live, because the mantra takes to this centering. You get powerfully, wonderfully centered. Then you live from that center. And the more you chant, the more you get centered. And you just get powerfully centered in God, in love, in light, in your ishta. You're just centered. Then do your thing while being so nicely, powerfully centered. It makes it seem like heaven on earth. So sahaj is a natural event, a natural happening when you chant your mantra with love and devotion, go deep. Just every day you're kind of renewing your sahaj, centering, with which to live, from which to live. Sahaj is a state of being in natural attunement with spirit as you go about your day and all your daily activities. So remember, sahaj is a natural state, natural result of chanting your mantra deeply. You just center in it, and that centering stays with you. Okay, so those are pretty much the main important successes in japa, in chanting God's name. Now there are some things which are called siddhis, japa siddhis, or mantra siddhis, siddhi, S-I-D-D-H-I. And these are not as important as what we just covered, but they could be signs you're progressing well. And some of them sound really deep too. But here's an example of a siddhi. The mantra appears in your mind's eye in letters of fire or in gold, shining, brilliant letters. That's a siddhi. It's a sign you're on the right path. It's an encouragement. A sound siddhi would be like going to the astral sound. Celestial choir, celestial voices, celestial symphonies, celestial birds. Those would be some examples. Have I helped you or not?
Well, something like a wave that is continually forming but never really breaking.
That might be an om sound, you see. That might be you're hearing a higher sound than a siddhi. That might be a higher sound. Yes?
Guruji, what if it's like a tremendous windstorm?
That's also more than a siddhi. That's a better sound. That's a sound you should listen to.
Okay.
Go into it. Anything else? Okay. So this is not exactly a siddhi. I don't know why it's in this category, but it is in this category. I just don't think it should be. The mantra goes on even when you're not consciously chanting it. To me, in my training, this is subconscious chanting. When you say it so often and you're getting so focused that your subconscious has picked it up as a habit, that's a great sign. It's a sign that your subconscious is getting full of the mantra too. I call that success in japa rather than just a siddhi. Success. Okay, what happens if it's always chanting there? Just pay attention to it and let it become more conscious. Just enjoy it. If it's keeping you from driving or functioning well, then you have to ignore it by perhaps listening to some other music, saying something else. Just become more conscious and more will-focused, and you can stop it. But usually, it's like your life is moving with the background glorious sounds of your mantra. Just like the background music for your life is your mantra. It's a beautiful thing. And this one too, I would have put under success in japa. You feel you're being filled with purity and holiness. Being filled with purity and holiness. That would be fantastic. That would be success. This would also be success. I was hoping there would be more of the disputed ones, but no, these are all great ones. The living presence of your Ishta. If you're chanting to an Ishta, a form of God you love, and you sense the life of that being right there with you, that's success in japa. Boy, what possibilities from chanting a mantra, huh? Okay. This is more of a siddhi. Loving, joyful tears or trembling. But it's pretty good too. Joyful tears, loving, or usually these tears come out from this part of the eye, the outside of your eye. Tears of joy. Tears of sorrow usually come from near your nose. Tears of joy come from the outsides of the eye. And they stream. So loving, joyful tears or loving, joyful trembling are often a sign of divine presence, preparing you for higher vibrations and a higher life. Again and again, if you have this devotion and you get this energy moving, tears will come out this way. They won't come here, they'll come out. Yeah?
That is so far out.
Correct. That is far out. If the tears are far out, you're far out. Horripilation, hair standing on end, just kind of like electricity moving of Shakti. The electricity is moving in your arms and legs. And I've looked at arms, and what it is, it's right near the surface. The hair root is standing up. But sometimes the hair is long enough so it is bent over. It's just right around the pores. Where the hair is coming out of the pore, that hair is standing up. Horripilation. Very good sign. That's called a siddhi. Then, I guess this was not such... Most of these are signs of success. They're not just siddhis, but a few of them were. Spiritual fulfillment, you become enlightened, you realize everything is spirit. You are spirit, you see it all as spirit. And you see matter as an expression or crystallization of spirit. Ecstatic love, love that is full of ecstasy. And others are uplifted, or they sense the holiness in your presence. So any questions about these? Horripilation, spiritual fulfillment, enlightenment, ecstatic love, or others are uplifted in your presence. They just sense something beautiful. They come into silence and maybe awe. They know something's going on that's really great. Questions or comments? Discussion? Okay. Yes?
Well, it's not quite on these things. I mean, this is wonderful going down all the list of things of success. Before we run out of time, it'd be nice if you said a few things about if we're not having success. What are the things that we have to look out for, and that we can, that if signs that we're things are getting dry or whatever, and what we should do for that.
If you're not having success, just start at the beginning again. Why am I doing this? Listen to these 2 tapes, maybe, from last time and this time. One, it could be that there's underlying sorrow or underlying nerve damage, but generally, it's a matter of your mind is going so many ways. It's just not centering. Usually, if you just pay attention with your senses to the mantra, feel it in your mouth, hear it in your ear, try to incorporate the whole body having an experience of the mantra. Start slowly with it out loud till you're focused on out loud and you're not aware of anything else. Then go to whisper until you're aware of the whispered mantra and not anything else. Because your mind has probably got several things going on, including emotional fears or pressures. Just mindful selection of the mantra at the out loud level, the whisper level, the mental level, such that it does its work and you're not aware of anything else. Then at least it's going to calm the restless mind. Then if you just keep it going, it will stimulate various spiritual things within you. So just go back to very basic, paying full mind to the out loud, to the whisper, to the mental. Full mind. And ask for God's grace. Lord, please give me your grace. We're wired for this. So I'd like to conclude then, if you feel I've done satisfactory answer. You got to go back, okay. Jack Shertock was an educational psychologist, which was the art of finding out where the kid or the grown-up lost their way in learning something. They knew it, and here in the 4th grade they couldn't multiply or whatever. They couldn't divide or whatever. You go back to where they were able to do it, and then you retrain them to do that thing that's been missing in their education, such that they can't do anything that follows therefrom. You go back to where it broke down, and you start where you were familiar with it, and you had love and enthusiasm, and you were doing it. You go back to there, and then you just start at that level. You'll increase really rapidly as a result of that, going back. And that was his practice, educational psychology. I'm saying go back to where you're fully conscious of the mantra, and you can't make it work. The mantra will make you work. The mantra can work it. Your mind and will cannot do it. Japa is most powerful as you develop and chant with faith and devotion. So go back to just becoming mindful, not trying for faith and devotion. But you'll accelerate more and more when you're chanting the mantra. You do it with faith and devotion, not just will this ever work. Faith and devotion. Chant with faith and devotion. But if you can't, just chant mindfully until faith and devotion begin to appear as you clear the clutter out of your mind and heart. And then japa is the surest way of subduing the restless mind. Japa is the surest way of subduing the restless mind. Enjoy your chanting. Let your chanting work. Chanting will take you there. Well, I'm chanting a lot. Well, you've got to chant with mindfulness and then with faith and devotion. Try it. And let sahaj happen. Let sahaj just bless you. And mantram's going in a nice centering place within you. And stay centered. As you bring awareness out and you work in the world, just try to let the mantra set you up in a nice centering place. Anande Raho. May you live in divine joy eternal.